Are you ready for some football picks, baby? It is week 1 of the regular season, and you know what that means. It means I am back with my pick 6 every single week for the NFL season, baby. We have been cleaning up on these over the years, especially the last 2 years. I was 70 something percent 2 years ago, 60 plus percent last year on these 6 picks. You know, we pick every game of the week, Eric and I, on the Hoof Podcast. But this pick 6 segment is specifically in order 1 through 6. I will rank every week my favorite bets. And without further ado, let's get right into it. My number 6 pick of week 1. I am taking the Raiders, ladies and gentlemen, with the points +3 at the Chargers. I think the Chargers are overhyped. The Raiders are going to come in and punch them in the mouth. Raiders getting points in a divisional matchup. That's always good. So give me that as number 6. Number 5 pick, I've got the Lions -4.5 versus the Rams. What did the Rams do on defense? They got rid of 2 of their best players. That's going to leave them very vulnerable to one of the best teams in the NFL in the Lions. I like the Rams offense, but I just think the Lions are going to dominate them on both sides of the ball. So give me the Lions -4.5. Let's move to my 4th pick of the week. That is the Browns -2.5 versus the Cowboys. Browns playing at home. Yes, there's a lot of question marks there, but there's also a lot of question marks in Dallas. And bottom line for me, it just comes down to that Cleveland defense. So give me Cleveland -2.5. That makes us move to my number 3 pick of the week. That's the Seattle Seahawks -6, playing at home versus the Broncos. The Broncos, although I'm high on Bo Nix, I just think that they're a very vulnerable team, and Seattle has a dominant offense. They can run, they can pass, they got multiple guys to get involved, and the Broncos are going to be vulnerable early. So give me Seattle -6 playing at home versus Denver. My number 2 pick of the week, it's the Bengals -8.5. That's a bigger line, but they're playing who I think is one of the most worst teams in the NFL, the New England Patriots. Cincy with a lot to prove here on offense. I think they're one of the most dynamic teams. They're going to just have their way with the New England Patriots. Their defense is good enough to keep them in check as well. There's a lot of question marks about what New England can do. So give me Cincy -8.5. And that brings us to my number 1, the big bet of the week. Atlanta -3 versus the Steelers. The Falcons are playing at home against Pittsburgh. Yes, Pittsburgh has a good defense, but I counter that by saying the Falcons have a better defense now. They've added Matt Judon, pass rush elite. They've added Simmons, safety, who is elite. I think that overall on defense, the Falcons have gotten better, and their offense is way more dynamic than the Steelers could ever dream of. So that is why they are my number 1 bet of the week and one of my favorites in the NFC. So give me Atlanta as my best bet of the week, -3.5 here versus the Steelers. So let's recap quickly my top 6 bets again in order. That is number 6, the Raiders +3 at the Chargers. Number 5, the Lions -4.5 versus the Rams. Number 4, the Browns -2.5 versus the Cowboys. Number 3, the Seahawks -6 versus the Broncos. Number 2, the Bengals -8.5 versus the Patriots. And number 1, the Atlanta Falcons -3 versus the Steelers. That'll wrap up pick 6 for week number 1, folks. Remember, it's week 1. We still have a lot to learn. Don't go all in week 1, and always bet responsibly for what you can do. But bet with me often. Make those parlays. Party with me when we hit. We'll recap next week and continuing on during the season. As always, thanks for kicking it with us. We'll see you next week.